So, 2020, am I right? So I started a Patreon, like 2 months ago, I guess, and there's some content on it, and I want to encourage people to pay me money for content on Patreon. But then I realized I should probably actually show people what that content even a little bit looks like. I knew I should make like an intro for this because I put it together and then I was like, this is a weird collection of things. So this is an intro. These are all bits and bobs from videos over on my Patreon. You should check it out. And I'm going to include a link to my Patreon in the description below and not on a card because YouTube hates cards now. I suggest subscribing at the $5 level. You'll get all of the content there, but you can also subscribe at the $3 level and you'll get some of the content that's there. So go do that. Seems like a good idea to me. So I am not Catholic, but I have worked a lot of Catholic funerals. I was trying to decide what book I should do for the first book club video I was doing to convince people to pay me more money. And I thought, maybe something a lot of people know and have read before. Something light and fun. So I just finished reading House of Leaves. Dinobot. Dinobot is that guy who throws glass bottles at passing cars when he gets bored. No one's ever going to talk to me about my special interest. Oh. And right below them was an empty crib. I say empty, but it was full. It was full of approximately 300 Bibles. Sometimes a family isn't a mom and a dad and a baby. Sometimes it's an empty church corridor and 300 Bibles in a crib. I don't discriminate. Anyway, I didn't spend any time on any of those questions. A lot of them require math. I'm just more of a humanities student. He's way wrapped up in his own problems, though. He's not a great friend. If you met him at a party, he would just be standing by the punch bowl brooding, and you couldn't even get past him to get some punch because he would be like, "You're interrupting my solitude." And he would sound exactly like that. Bro, I just wanted some punch, but I guess I will just go have 7-Up instead. No girls allowed. Sorry, Ariadne. I don't think Black Arachnia would make a good close friend. A lot of her personality comes from the fact that she betrays people for fun and clout. I think romantic music can sound kind of slow and sleepy to modern listeners. These are the lo-fi chill beats of archaic music styles. What is a conqueror? How can I, a man, become one? Notably, all of the typical pamphlets that you would normally associate with women in the Catholic Church were almost impossible to find. I know, because I did find them. I went hunting out of morbid curiosity. She scares herself to death. Classic women, am I right? I like Tigatron. But I can't help but feel that he would be that friend that nobody wants at their rager. Opera. Okay, hi. Anyway, this Zampano has all of those problems, and also approximately 3,000 feral cats. The cats aren't important to the plot, but they are a motif. Johnny will be driving along and he'll see a cat on the side of the road, just chilling, and he'll be like, Zampano, I've been thinking about that old man a lot recently. I like to imagine Johnny just never knew anyone who owned cats. He tries to adopt a dog at one point in this essay, and a woman just murders it in front of him. This book is weird. Johnny Skiki is oops, all story, mostly because it's Puccini's Divine Comedy fanfiction. Actually, can we take a sidebar and talk about Johnny Skiki for a second? And nobody takes him seriously, a lot of Primal's problems stem from the fact that he wants people to take him seriously. This doesn't sound like a big deal, because maybe you've heard a harpsichord and you're like, what's the big deal? It's just a piano that sounds shittier. Like, you're not wrong, but you are also wrong. So there's this, in front of the chapel, there's this table, like a cheap fold-out, you've seen tables. There's actually a part of this book where Johnny writes that he's improving and getting better, and then admits that he was lying and openly mocks the reader for believing that he could recover. It is very hopeless. They give you a pamphlet and they're like, the story's in here. Read it before you start watching. And you're like, what? They don't do this in Hades Town. Let's get started with the slimy Uggo bot. Or if you're a dramatic soprano, you can be a Viking or a goddess. And if you're a mezzo-soprano, you can be a man. Beast Wars gets a bad rap. People don't like it because everybody's an animal in it. And also it looks terrible. A lot of them are to tell women to be ashamed of being horny. Like, I don't know how else to describe them. It's like the feminine shame corner right when you walk in. I have had better hair days. Baroque music. You know what they say about Baroque music. If it's not Baroque, don't fix it! If you're like, let me explain. House of Leaves is one of those books that's just, oops, all symbolism. Like Annihilation, or Moby Dick. You know how the pacing in movies from the 50s and 60s is like super weird and slow and boring, and it just kind of meanders around for 2 hours and then it just ends? Those stories are only 50 or 60 years old. 60 or 70. Oh my god, it's the 2020. He walks into your party and he's like, what is that? What is that? A copy of the Geneva Conventions? Throw that out the window, because tonight we're going to go crazy. And then he like attaches you to a web and starts sucking all your blood out. Like, they're introduced in the book, and reading their introduction feels like every episode of Star Trek, the original series, where Kirk is giving very specific instructions to a dude who you have never seen before, and then you look down and he's wearing a red top, and you're like, oh, okay. These guys exist to die, to show us that the situation is serious. Hey, where's our fanfic, by the way? I looked around on AO3 and there's like 3 Primal X Rhinox fanfics, and they're all from like 2008. Have to do everything myself around here. Also, none of this is helped by the fact that the stories in opera are all fucking bonkers, and none of them make any sense 90% of the time. Unfortunately, the house they moved into sits on top of an ancient and incomprehensible genus loci that dates back to long before the birth of the very universe. It's just so hard to find good real estate in New England. There's a conversation that came up a lot when we as a culture were experiencing the Cats movie. And this Megatron is British, but he is dumb. And I like that. It also says that 68% of men watch pornography, to which I say 68% of men admit to watching pornography and 32% of men are fucking liars. That's an insensitive way to explain that. The house does eat him, though.